Hello, it's Chuck from Above the Basement, Boston Music and Conversation, the official podcast partner of the Boston Music Awards. 2017 sees the Boston Music Awards celebrate their 30th anniversary on December 7th at House of Blues in Boston. Tickets are open to the public and on sale now via the Boston Music Awards website at bostonmusicawards.com. The night will feature multiple live performances from nominated artists, and winners will also be announced that night, so if you want to see who wins firsthand, make sure you grab tickets. Julie Rhodes began singing in front of audiences only a few years ago and has taken Boston by storm. Her debut album, Bound to Meet the Devil, has garnered rave reviews for her beautiful, soulful voice, and she has wowed enough people with her live performances to get 5 Boston Music Award nominations, including Live Artist of the Year, Unsigned Artist of the Year, Americana Artist of the Year, Female Vocalist of the Year, and a shared nomination for Music Video of the Year with Still Gold, Dutch ReBelle, and Tigerman WOAH. She also just received Musician of the Year for 2017 from the Improper Bostonian, so she may need a bigger mantle to hold all her awards by the end of this year. Ike Walker joins me again as my guest co-host. Okay, so here is our conversation with Julie Rhodes, recorded at Woods Hill Table in Concord, Massachusetts. You won an Improper Bostonian.
Yeah.
Musician of the Year or something. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's sweet. I want to get into Improper Bostonian. I've emailed them about interviewing me because I'm so awesome. And they haven't gotten back to me yet.
Yeah. That was a total surprise for me. Someone tagged me on Facebook. And it's like, you're Musician of the Year. And I'm like, what?
Out of the blue? Had they interviewed you?
No. Yeah.
That's sweet. When was that?
I want to say maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, just recently?
Yeah.
Oh, it was 2017. That's this year. Oh. So where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Woburn.
That's where you're originally from?
Yep.
You grew up in Woburn?
Grew up in Woburn, yep. Ah. And that's where I'm living right now.
I've been to the movie theater in Woburn.
Oh,
I used
me
to go
too.
there in my high school years.
Oh, me too.
But it's probably before your time.
It's a lot different now. It's pretty fancy.
Is it fancy?
I haven't been there in a while, but I've heard.
Do they have those sit-down seats? Like
the recliners and stuff?
I still haven't been we talked about this, but I haven't been on one of those yet.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in North Carolina, so I've only been going to Woburn for, but I know how to pronounce Woburn, so I've
there
got
you
that
go.
going for me.
But not like
That's
a
the trick
true
of how to
a true East
here.
Coast, a Northeasterner.
No, I'm a Southerner.
Otherwise,
when
you'd say
when it comes down to it.
Woburn,
yeah.
So born and raised
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
in Woburn.
Yep.
Thanks for coming out. Especially it's kind of a rainy, crappy night. It's supposed to be like a tropical storm or something, isn't it?
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're getting some rain tonight. Batten down the hatches.
We lost power last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know why. I'm thinking aliens.
Probably. Yeah, they do that sometimes, don't they?
Yes. It's an exciting year for you.
It has been.
But I think last year was an exciting year for you too. It's been an exciting couple years.
I can't even tell the two apart. It just feels like one long year.
But a good year.
Yeah.
But a good long year.
Good long year.
You are nominated for, what is it, 4 or 5?
5, and I'll say a quarter.
5 and a quarter.
Yeah.
What's the quarter?
The quarter is Unsigned Music Video of the Year, which was a collaboration with 3 other artists. So that's the quarter.
Which video is it?
The song is called Feels Like Home.
Okay.
And the collaboration is with Still Gold, Dutch ReBelle, and Tigerman WOAH, who are my homies. So
we've had Mo Pope on.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He is fantastic.
And I think he just got back from London.
He did, yeah. They were doing a tour there.
I think there's an event tonight, or there's something coming. Oh, it's Friday night.
They're doing like an orchestra thing, no?
Yeah, it's Friday night.
Oh, man.
They're doing, he said he's always wanted to play with an orchestra.
That's probably going to be amazing.
Yeah. And I met Dutch ReBelle at Tremont Takeover.
Cool.
Later that evening.
We met at Harmonix office.
Okay.
Because we were on a compilation, the record company.
The record
compilation, yeah.
We've talked to Matt McArthur.
Awesome. Great guy. Mm-hmm. But they were able to get some of these, or the songs from the compilation onto Rock Band, and they had us into Harmonix.
Right. Harmonix with Rock Band, I know that.
And so I met Dutch ReBelle in Harmonix. We were playing our songs. Nice. And she called me Julie on the drums. Yeah. And that's actually a line in the song.
Julie on the drums?
Yeah, a line in the song Feels Like Home, which I think is kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Last year, I talked to Allison Keslow.
Okay.
She was nominated last couple of years. She's been nominated for Jazz Artist of the Year.
Cool.
And these are Boston Music Awards we're talking
Boston
about.
Music Awards,
okay.
Yeah. So she was nominated again this year.
Cool.
And I was the one who told her last year that she was nominated. She didn't know.
Wow.
I texted her. I did the same for Allie McGurk this year. So how did you find out you were nominated for 4 1/4?
This is a fun story, actually. At the time, I was working at this company, and one of my coworkers was Dave, the singer from Bearstronaut.
Oh, yeah.
So I had no idea that I was nominated last year, and I'm at my desk, and he comes up behind me, and he's like, "Congratulations, Miss Rhodes." And I was like, "What does that mean?" And he was like, "You don't even know yet." Told me to look it up, and I saw that I was nominated for like 4 things, and then found out that we were in a category together.
Uh-oh. So
I did get fired from there, but not because of that.
All right. That's okay. I got fired last year, so we're all in the same boat.
Yeah. It's hard to keep a job when you're trying to tour and do the whole thing.
Yeah, I bet.
Yep.
We're going to get into that
I hope
tour thing.
But no future employers are listening right now.
No, they want to hire people like us. We're the creative types.
I feel like it's very seasonally appropriate here.
Yes.
It's Halloween's a couple days away.
True.
And we can talk about your album, Bound to Meet the Devil.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very spooky Halloween kind of title.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to the album a lot. It came out like early 2016.
Yep.
Yeah, I really dig it.
Thank you. Was that a pun on purpose? Because of all the digging references?
That was unintentional. But you caught me there. I didn't even know that was probably a subconscious
Probably.
play on words. Yeah, one of the things I got into listening to it, the progression of the songs in the album. You know, the first song comes in really strong with your vocals and your voice, which is so amazing and unique. And then the second song, you know, has that bass coming in, doop-de-doop, and you throw some harmonica in there. And then in the third song, we get into the organ. And I just love the journey of that album. And that third song, Faith, I've listened to that one over and over.
Oh, awesome.
I just love that song.
Cool. Yeah, that was actually a song written by the producer of the album, Jonah Tolchin. He wrote it during the process of making that record. And it was sort of a note to me to have faith that things are going to be cool. Things are going to work out. Everything's
So
cool.
was that early on in the recording that he wrote that one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was, I understand, was it, you did some of the album in Connecticut and some of it down in Alabama?
We were sort of all over the place with that record. We did most of the recording in Connecticut. We did some recording in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and then we did some more recording in Los Angeles. So it was a long process, and we did quite a bit of traveling for it, but it was really cool.
Yeah, how long did you spend in Alabama?
We were only in Fame for a day.
I want to back up. Your story, you're talking very matter-of-factly, like, well, yes, we were in L.A., and then we were in Alabama. This is your first album.
I know.
Okay? And not only that, a couple years ago, you weren't even singing. You were singing, but you weren't singing in front of audiences. You were just a fan, going to see music.
It's true, yeah.
Being part of that music community.
Yep.
And this guy, Jonah, it's a really cool story. You met him at one of his performances, a house performance.
Yep. There was actually 2 people involved. So Dan Blakesley, do you know Dan Blakesley? Also nominated for Boston Music Awards. Dan Blakesley is the best.
For what is he nominated for?
I think Folk Artist of the Year. Dan and Jonah were on tour together, and Dan was the one who was trying to remember the song lyric, and I sang it, and he was like, "You should write a song." And I was like, "But I can't. I only know 3 chords." And he's like, "You know how many you need? Not even that many. Mm-hmm. So go do it." And I went home and I did it. That night I wrote my first song, and I sent it to both Jonah and to Dan and just said thank you for the inspiration, because that's what inspired me, was that house show. And Jonah was the one that came back and was like, "You have to keep writing," and told me that what I made was really great. So I just kept doing it, and he pushed me. And
it was the beginning of a texting relationship.
Exactly.
You were texting back and forth.
Yep.
And then finally it's like, we just got to get in the studio.
Yeah, exactly. I sent him a song. It was like the 3rd song I think I had sent him, and he was like, "I want to work on a record with you." And
But even before that, it's you would sing in the shower, and you would, or you'd be even maybe cautious about singing in the shower.
Oh yeah, never in the shower.
And you wouldn't sing live.
No.
Was it a fear thing? Was it a confidence thing?
I think it was a little bit of both, and maybe just not really thinking that I could or should.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did spend a lot of time wanting to be on that side of the stage, but never really knew how or if I could. And so I think that's why I was always gravitated toward being a part of a live music setting, even in the crowd. So I was always going to see shows all the time, every night. Yeah, I think I just needed a push and somebody to tell me that I could do it and that I should do it, and I was all over it.
Do you remember that first show you did? Like walking out on stage and going and singing in front of people for the first time like that?
So I was really shy at first.
Yeah.
I wasn't super comfortable with just hopping up on stage and singing. So what Jonah would do in the early stages of when I was starting to perform, he would invite me to his shows and he would carve out 2 or 3 songs within his set for me to come up and sing with him. So before I ever played my own shows, I was doing 1 or 2 or 3 songs with him.
Into it a little
bit. Yeah, but I do remember the first time that he invited me up on stage to sing a song at the Burn in Somerville.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I knew I couldn't not do it.
Do you have vocal training? Like, did you take voice lessons?
No, just kind of learned by singing in the car mostly.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I wonder, you have such a great, unique voice.
Thank you.
I wonder, like, when did you discover that this was your singing voice? You know, how did this become the singing voice of Julie Rhodes?
Or are you still discovering it?
I think I'm still discovering it. I mean, since I was a kid, I would always sing along to like the radio or whatever was on. And I always tried to sing like the person singing. Like I tried to mimic their sounds. And I think that's how I developed the ability to have some, I guess, sense of control or whatever. But I think now I am just doing whatever comes out.
The type of music that you sing, bluesy, Americana, there's a lot of kind of riffing in there. You know, some humming and hawing and whatever,
yeah.
You know, so was that a new experience for you, just kind of riffing off of things rather than something that's scripted, written down, just singing the words, you being able to just kind of scat over whatever you're hearing?
Well, there was a couple, I guess, instances of both.
Yeah.
So, like in the song "Holes," there's like some humming in that, and that was written. But then there's some more riffing, like say at the end of "Collector Man," which is just sort of improvising and
because that takes guts too. That
so much. We made the album even before. It might not have been before that first performance, but it was definitely before my first show ever. So we had already started making this record, and so I was pretty afraid when I was singing those songs. It's unfortunate because I can kind of just hear it when I listen back. I can hear how just fresh I was, how new I was at projecting. But I can remember being in the studio and getting to those parts where I'm like riffing on stuff and improvising, and everyone is in the control room and they're like, yeah, like cheering for me and like trying to get me to like go bigger. And so that definitely helped.
It's an art form being able to do that. You all played it once? You
Yep.
did? Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few overdubs, some keys, horns, and backup vocals, but as far as the bass tracks and most of the vocal was all done together. After having done it that way, I don't know if I could ever do it another way.
There were some great musicians playing along with you on the album, too.
Yeah, I can't even tell you how fortunate I feel. The fact that all of that was able to come together and happen just still kind of blows my mind. Right now, I have a really great rhythm section that's with me, and then for the rest of the band, we kind of just pick and choose from who's around and go from there.
So when you tour with this album, do you have all the instrumentation like on the album? Like you've got the organ, you've got horns and everything, or do you have to recompose a little bit of it?
It really depends on the situation. If we're doing like a big local show, we'll bring out everybody, the horns. For the album release, we had the singers and everything. For the most part, we keep it pretty stripped down. Just a trio, guitar, bass, and drums. And then sometimes we'll have keys. But yeah, we usually keep it a little more stripped down, which is interesting because it does change the feel of a lot of the songs because there's just certain parts that aren't there. A lot of times it just makes it more energetic, I think, because everybody's putting in 110% to fill in all the space.
Sure.
So
I read that when you went in and started recording the album, it was just you. Was it Jonah just playing acoustic guitar?
Yeah.
You grew up a fan of not roots music, and not that you didn't like it, but you listened to. What did you listen to?
Like pop punk and ska and that kind of stuff.
So when you went into the studio and you're playing with the acoustic guitar, was it doing the same kind of music that's on this album, but with a pop sensibility? When did this decision turn to make it sound bluesy and Americana, or did it kind of come out that way originally when you wrote it?
Almost all of the songs that I've written really started out more like folk songs. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't really until we brought those the forms to the band. Nothing was really rehearsed. We just went into the studio and everybody just kind of gave it what they were feeling. And it really was just that, the band putting in their own ideas and feeling.
I love that.
Yeah, that made it sound that way.
Didn't one song start off with the drummer start off with a reggae beat or something? And
yeah, if you listen really closely, you can hear the guitar player. There's like a little, like a giggle. He laughs real quick. So we're trying to get the groove down for this song, and it's not a reggae feel whatsoever. It was, I don't even know what you'd call the feel, but we just couldn't get it right. And then our drummer on the record was just kind of messing around and just did this little reggae like fill. And we were like, nah, that's fun, let's try it. And so he starts with this drum beat, and then that's when you hear the guitar player laugh.
Hey, stranger, how'd you get that hold on me? I was minding my mind so carefully, but you stole it so easy. Hey, stranger, quit your ringing in my ears. Oh, that sweet sound got me so strong, I can hear it in my dreams. It's like a force of nature. Magnetic pull. Ooh, I'm tugging at a rope, digging down my heels, but it ain't no good.
One of my favorite bands growing up was sort of like a reggae influenced band.
RX
Bandits. Yeah, they were my favorite band growing up. Without them, I don't think that I ever would have started listening to music with substance, because when I was, a young teenager, I was listening to really bad pop punk music. But anyway, so yeah, we start playing this reggae groove, and it kind of felt like a joke, but at the same time I was like, it kind of felt nice to sort of pay tribute to that stuff that I grew up on.
Sure.
Yeah.
So which song was that we're talking about here?
Hey Stranger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's one of the things about recording the songs, before you had really done them on stage, is you have those opportunities to sort of, just invent it on the fly, and the musicians who are there really get to be a part of crafting it. You know? The session musicians aren't just coming in and doing what you tell them to do.
Right, exactly.
You're all making it together.
Mm-hmm.
So during that first album, you went in with what you thought would have been a folky sound when you first started recording, and then it turned into what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So for that next album, do you have a plan? Do you have songs you're going to kind of stay within this genre? Are you going to just do whatever moves you when you get there? Or?
I think we're going to try to be a little more adventurous. I think for Bound to Meet the Devil, there is a lot of different genres from song to song. Yeah. And I think we want to continue that. It's cohesive, like it's still going to have like a soul blues influence, like Umbrella, I guess. But I definitely want to keep the songs diverse and multi-genred.
Yeah, for me, as I was mentioning before, a lot of what, when I'm hearing the songs, like each one has a different identity, like you talked about, and it's a lot about the instrumentation, like there's like, that's the, like when you were talking about Hey Stranger, I was like, I remember that was the one that leads off with the drums, there's the Faith starts with the organ, or, Skyscraper Blues, that's like such a nice mood there when you bring it into the album and it wasn't there before. And listening to this as an album, and just sort of going through the journey of all the songs. And I do appreciate the diversity of it.
Your reaction to that, like not all the songs were the same, you have different instrumentation, that's just really evidence of how you went in with no real plan, and you kind of just let the musicians kind of feed you where the song was going to go.
Yeah, and it was the most fun, the breeziest recording session situation. I was, we'd get to the end of the day and I'd be like, oh, okay.
I know,
fun.
sad at the end of the day. I love going into the studio. It's one of my favorite things to do.
It's harder now. I think me being a little naive then and everything being so exciting and new, it just made it that much better.
What's better than going to a day job where you have to go sit in the studio and sing and listen to music?
Exactly.
Beats scooping ice cream.
That's for sure. Yes, definitely does.
So where'd you do the record launch? Was that up here?
Yes, Boston and Providence.
Okay, and then you hit the road, and where did you start? Just curious to hear about where the tour took you and what that experience was like.
The first tour, we headed toward Austin, Texas for South by Southwest.
All right.
So we hit a couple stops on the way, started down through New York and North Carolina, home state.
Nice. Where'd you play in North Carolina?
We played at a brewery in Asheville called Catawba.
Yeah,
Brewing?
Catawba, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was fun. And we did Nashville and Memphis.
So what was that like being on the road for the first time?
Didn't you buy a van and it was just you and 4 guys stuffed in a van?
The van actually came a little bit later. Our first 2 tours were actually in two separate cars, a hatchback and a station wagon, which was not ideal. It was like jam-packed to the gills. About a year later, we got the van and started touring in that.
That sounds more practical. I feel like with 2 vehicles, that means 2 people always have to be driving. And it's harder to get your Z's in when you do that. But with
that kind of goes back to your roots. You said that you travel for music. Or you did.
Yeah, so I was actually going to just say that. So when I was young, like just out of high school, 17, I was following tours, just going all over the country to see bands play. And I kind of felt like, although I wasn't playing, it just felt like a tour because you're at different venues every night. You're driving, staying in hotels or in the car or whatever.
You would follow a band around the country?
Yeah.
A single band?
Yeah.
Was it the RX band? Or was it something else?
No, there was a couple. There was a couple
Who
different
did you
bands.
follow?
There's one band out of Philadelphia called Good Old War that I loved a lot. I guess I'd say they sort of influenced me in the genre switch, I guess, from what I was listening to as like a young high schooler to a more Americana type thing, because they were like a bridge band. They played a little bit of both. So yeah, I followed them a lot.
It's kind of like following the Dead around, right?
Yeah. I think at the time, being a musician was so far in the back of my mind. I knew I wanted to do it, but I almost didn't acknowledge it because I had to just get over a lot of confidence issues and things first. In the back of my mind, I didn't even really know why I was doing it. I just like wanted to be there and wanted to do it.
Are you starting to see people following you around on the road?
Yeah.
See familiar faces?
It's awesome.
Some 17-year-old young Julies replacing you, kind of following you around?
I love playing for young people. I mean, it's hard because we play in bars and like 21 plus. I think that's the reason why when I was coming up, I was going to see pop punk shows because that's the only all ages shows there were. We played a festival recently where there was all these young kids. The festival printed out these autograph books for them to like go up to the artists after and like talk to them. It was called Mad Love Festival, by the way. They're great. I got to meet all these kids I watched them while we were playing, and you could just tell that they were being changed by getting to see this music at such a young age. So I love playing for young people. It's so cool.
You mentioned how you felt like when you would go see these bands as a kid, you said something about them watching you, the band watching you, like as... Maybe not. You didn't say that?
I'm trying to think. I probably said something like that. I'm trying to think of what I said.
Well, I think it kind of bends into the community, the music community.
Yeah.
The audience, that's part of that community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a beautiful thing, especially to your point, for the kids. It's the same thing happened to you. I mean, you were a little older when it happened, but it doesn't matter how old you are. If the musician on stage points to you like, you should be doing this.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's an amazing thing to have happen to you.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I wish that I would have been able to have that as an even younger person and, gotten started a little earlier. So I hope that I can inspire young people in some ways.
But I think it's one of those things, if you've never been on stage before, you sort of feel like when you're in the audience, you're invisible. But then once you get on stage for the first time, you look out and you see all these real people.
Right.
Sometimes you think you're invisible in the audience, but you're not. You're part of the show.
It's true.
And it's like,
absolutely.
That's such an important part of every show.
Yep.
How did you end up getting Sarah Watkins on the... So I listened to Nickel Creek, and I was a huge fan of theirs.
Yeah.
And this is before Punch Brothers and everything before.
Right.
Yeah. So how'd you get her on?
A bunch of little babies.
That's crazy. It's your first album, for God's sakes.
I know. I owe all of that to Jonah and the engineer who mixed our album, Sheldon Gomberg.
Right. He's
out of L.A.
Hall of Fame dude, right?
Oh, yeah. And he is just incredible.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah. So we lucked out with that because Sheldon produced the most recent, I think there's only one, Watkins Family Hour records. The Watkins Family Hour was making that record right around when we were making this record.
Okay.
And so we were talking about, going out to LA to get this record mixed, and it just happened that the Watkins Family Hour was in the studio right around that time, like within days. And so Sheldon asked Sarah and asked Greg Leese, who is the pedal steel player, absolutely incredible, has played on pretty much every record that you've ever heard, was able to get both of them to record on the record, which was crazy. I was always I'm a huge Sarah Watkins fan, and I didn't even know at the time how much of a fan of Greg I was. I didn't know that it was his playing that I was hearing on all these like Jackson Browne records and things.
He's the guy. He's the slide guy and those Jackson Browne songs?
Everything.
Yeah,
Eric Clapton.
We've all heard him.
Yeah. Oh, we've all heard him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
on her first album.
Yeah.
For God's sakes.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I love hearing Sarah's fiddle on that was on the Skyscraper Blues, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't miss it. I recognized it.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. I wonder which one it is. I'm like, oh, there it is. I heard it.
Yep.
I can tell.
I seen a woman reaching out her hand, looking for someone who can understand. Pain in everybody's eyes, just struggling to survive. Oh, I've seen the city bring a man to his knees. I seen the beggar outside the corner store, shaking the coin at the bottom of his paper cup. Ain't got money for to eat, or he ain't got a bed to sleep. Oh, I've seen the city bring a man to his knees. And I seen a liar on a ladder, climbing higher and higher, like nobody else matters. And I seen an honest man in the dirt, I seen the devil hard at work. Oh, I seen the city where a man is need.
You know, I've been going to more shows in the city.
Cool.
Like, where do you go? When you go see a show, where do you go?
As a musician, I'm like kind of broke. As much as I love Sinclair and venues like that are my favorite ones.
Yeah.
But if I'm going out on any given night, it's probably to like State Park or Atwoods.
Weren't you playing there in November? Yes, that's Sinclair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I think places like State Park and Atwoods that have like really quality, great music.
Do you go to Lizard Lounge ever? And,
once in a
Toad?
Once in a while. Toad's always a fun hang. Toad is, I think, where you see all of the other musicians that exist in this Boston music scene. Always go through Toad.
You play guitar, right?
Yep.
You play guitar when you're on stage? Are you,
No.
No, so you're just singing.
Yeah.
But you play to write. And
Yep.
Do you ever just kind of get together with other singer-songwriter musicians and join them for a gig here and there, or?
All the time.
Yeah.
It's usually a spur of the moment thing. It's not usually a planned thing. Although sometimes it is. Tomorrow I'm actually playing Matthew Stubbs and the Antigua's Downbeat Mondays.
At the Sinclair Kitchen.
Yeah. So I'm going to be sitting in with his band tomorrow. But things like that happen all the time. I feel like I'll go to any show and somebody will ask me to come up on stage.
I see people playing with other people all the time now.
That's what makes it.
Thunder Road, at Toad, at Lizard Lounge. I'm like, weren't you in this other band? Like, why are you singing with her now? And why is she in that? And
that's what makes it special.
It is.
You know, I think a music scene, everybody's sort of playing with each other is so much better than everyone competing with each other.
Yeah,
so.
I totally know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because that's when the magic really happens.
It's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, that house show that I saw Jonah and Dana.
Perfect example,
yeah,
right?
It wasn't, the music was incredible, but what stood out to me the most is the fact that there was so many other musicians in the room I didn't even know yet. I know they're all dear friends to me now, but I didn't even know them yet. And Jonah called one out at a time and said, like, hey, come up and play a song. And so you'd hear a song by Haunt the House, or you'd hear a song by Dylan of the Horseside Men. That was kind of what made me think, I want to be a part of this, and I think I can. I think that whole community aspect and collaborative aspect is what made it possible for me, I think.
So I wonder if Boston is at all unique in that way. Is it like this in every city, or is Boston, are we in that sweet spot of like, it's not too big of a city, not too small of a place, that there's a lot of musicians, there's a critical mass, and they all sort of network and know each other and have this community. Yeah,
I think it's something so special here in New England that you don't really get in other places. And I honestly think it's just because the states are small, so everything's sort of close together. And you can, like, a band will be on tour and they'll play 5 shows and they're all within like 45 minutes of each other. And that's how I think you get this like really great community, because everything's so close and everybody's so close.
Right, because you'll play one gig.
Yep.
And then the next night you'll play half an hour further away.
Yep.
You can get the same people. It's like, oh, I like that person. I'm going to go check them out again.
The proximity thing actually really does play a part, because the bands in New England were huge on like the show trades. You'll get a band from Providence, say, and you'll do like a Friday in Providence and a Friday in Boston, and you trade. And I don't think that happens everywhere as much.
Talked about that on the podcast before. I forget, one of the guests talked about how Boston is such a great place for touring because everything's so close. And I think the comparison was Chicago. Like if you're in Chicago, there's not that many, Milwaukee's not too far away, but there's not that many cities in close distance, but in the Northeast.
Right, and I think you just form these bonds with bands that maybe wouldn't necessarily happen elsewhere because of that.
Do you ever get up to Vermont or Maine or anything like that?
We've played in both, but not enough.
Yeah.
I would love to do some more. Portland's really great. I'd love to get into the Burlington scene, which we haven't played in Burlington.
Burlington goes against the theory that everything's close together in New England. Burlington's
That's true.
a little bit further away.
That's true.
A little bit further away.
But worth the trip, of course.
That's true.
But it's a destination. Even though it's far away, I mean, it's not terribly far away. No. It's like three and a half hours. So it's not terrible. And you can hit all these different places going up there.
One thing I'm wondering, you talk about how at all these gigs, everybody knows each other, and you'll call somebody up on the stage. I'm wondering, is that always a good thing, or has there ever been somebody who's put you on the spot where you're like not feeling it, and like maybe you have a cold, or like and so what do you do then when they call you out and you like don't want to do it?
This literally just happened like 3 days ago. I was seeing some friends of mine at Loretta's last call for the country club residency, and I got called on stage by the band. And I just was not feeling like I could do it justice. So they had the crowd like chanting my name. And I was like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I love you, but I can't. But yeah, it happens.
So you just said, no thanks, I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's tough to be so loved, Julie, isn't it?
I know. It's just so hard.
I know.
But I mean, I guess at this point you're comfortable to do that. But maybe 18 months ago, you wouldn't have felt comfortable as you were still getting used to it. Right?
Yeah.
So.
I'm not the best at faking it through a song that I only kind of know.
Yeah.
So it usually just depends on how well I know the song, if I want to jump up there.
People have they compared you to Etta James. They've compared you to
don't say it.
It's escaping me.
Just don't say that.
Holding Company.
No, you're saying it. You're saying it.
But I don't agree with that, though.
Me either. I think, so that reference,
please
Janis Joplin.
Thank you.
The Janis Joplin reference, I just think that everybody just grabs for it. It doesn't matter what the person sounds like.
I don't think you sound like Janis Joplin at all.
I don't think so either. And I've had this conversation with so many powerful female vocalists, and every single one is leaps and bounds different than me or from each other, but they always get it. You sound just like Janis Joplin.
You don't.
It doesn't only happen to me. If somebody hears a powerful female vocalist that has any sort of like soul influence or blues influence, they just jump to it. It's crazy. I don't know. I've gone through this with so many people, and I always feel so bad and I feel bad for anyone listening who's told me that, which is everybody. So
they're all wrong.
They are wrong.
No,
they're so wrong.
Because your voice is very smooth.
Thank you.
And you'll do like a guttural, you'll get in.
Like a growl.
Yeah. You'll get into it in certain parts of the song. But for the most part, it's very clean and very,
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
Thank you.
But hers is not. Hers is.
No.
Is, it's a beautiful voice. I love it, but it's just not.
It's different. Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad you agree with me because I didn't get that reference at all.
I just think that it's a household name that everybody grabs when they want to compare a vocalist to somebody else. It's just easy.
It's a household name. I couldn't remember it, but it's a household name.
Yeah, and I think
I have a problem with names.
We have a limited vocabulary in terms of describing somebody's
the royal
voice.
We, or is that me?
Yes. In general, everybody does. If I were to describe Julie Rhodes' voice, to somebody who's never heard your voice, it would
Celine Dion.
It would be a hard. It would be a hard thing to do, and so that's what people, as a crutch, they'll mention other past artists, and it never quite fits. I mean, to me, it reminds me a little bit of how everyone wants to compare, like look at children and say which parent they look like.
Right.
They have your nose and I'm like, they look like themselves. My kids look like themselves. They don't look like me.
Yeah.
Are you finding that guttural emotion that you're kind of putting at the end of words or at certain parts of the lyric? Are you finding that kind of creeping in more into the way you sing?
Definitely the more shows that I play, and it's not...
You kind of really belt it out, and is it a natural thing for you, or do you reach for it, or...
It feels natural, but I wouldn't normally jump to that as much if I wasn't playing with like a pretty rockin' louder band. So it really just depends on the energy level of the song. If the band's like, really going at it, and that's kind of when it brings out the more growly, belty stuff, which is cool. But maybe for the next record, you might hear some more low-key Julie Rhodes singing.
So when
maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
Are you in the studio now?
We're still in the writing process right now.
But you have a plan?
Do I have a plan?
Yes.
No, not really, no. Not yet. I think a plan will take shape once the songs start to come together.
Are you singing the songs live right now?
Nope. I mean, we're really early on in the stages of...
But you won't try a new song out in an audience just to...
I have mixed feelings on that. I think it depends on how far back in the process you are. Because if you're playing a lot and you're playing your new songs a lot and then you're releasing an album like a year later after the whole process is done and everybody already knows the songs, is it as exciting? I don't know. I have mixed feelings.
So if we come see you in the Sinclair the day after Thanksgiving, you won't be playing the new songs that we haven't heard before.
We don't even really have any complete new songs.
Right.
We have a lot of chunks right now.
What are you going to do tomorrow night with Stubbs?
A mixture of covers and original stuff. Yeah, his band's learning some of my songs, which we've done it before. It's so cool. It's such an interesting thing getting to play with completely different. I mean, Matt, his whole band is like super psychedelic.
Well, he always has a new artist with him every time there on those Mondays. So I saw him with Duke Levine.
Yeah.
I saw him play there.
He's a hardworking dude, that Stubbs. I'll tell you.
He is. I see him all over the place.
Yep.
That's tomorrow night. And then the 24th at the Sinclair, right?
Also with Matt. Yeah.
Also with Matt.
Yeah. For his album release show, which is going to be fun.
And did I see that you're playing a gig at Treehouse Brewery?
Yeah.
Coming up? Tell me about that. I love Treehouse.
Where is that?
That's out in Monson, Massachusetts. Or no, it's in Charlton now. It was in Monson.
Western Mass.
Great beer. It's really good stuff. People wait in line for hours.
Really?
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah. I have actually never been there. I have a friend named Pete Alexi, who is a guitar player for a band called the Curtis Mayflower. He works there and asked us to come play.
Sweet.
So I'm excited for that. I've never been there.
So you don't know what the space is like? Or
I recently saw a video of Pete actually playing there outside, so I got to just see it just barely. But it's in December, so we're probably not playing outside. Probably inside, I would imagine.
Are you going to sing at the BMAs this year?
I don't think so.
But you sang
we just played last year, yeah. But if there is any pre-shows or after shows, you probably will see me.
Okay.
Cool. And you never know when somebody's going to call you up on stage, you know.
That's true.
Well, we are the official podcast partner of the BMAs.
That's awesome.
And we have a bunch of BMA artists coming on.
That's so great.
BMA-nominated artists. And you are our first of the chunk of BMA artists.
Cool.
So congratulations on the nominations. You were nominated for, let me just make sure I get it all right. You were nominated for Artist of the Year, Unsigned Artist of the Year, Live Artist of the Year, Americana Artist of the Year, and Female Vocalist of the Year.
Yes. And a quarter
Plus
for the video.
And a quarter for the video.
5 and a quarter.
And you're the 2017 Boston Best Musician for the Improper Bostonian.
Pretty cool.
A lot of awards. You need to get a mantle.
I know. I only have one. I only have one physical award from last year.
They have the same one, right?
Those are so cool.
Really cool.
Tell me about
really
it.
cool.
I wasn't
It
there
says
last year.
What does
it
it
says
say?
Boston. It's
Boston.
in like metal, some kind of metal.
If you actually go online to YouTube and you Google Boston Music Award,
making
it, they show you how they make it. And there's this guy, I think in Boston, that does it.
It's like 3D printed or something like
that.
Yeah,
and it's an amazing video.
Oh, nice.
And it's a gorgeous
It's beautiful
piece.
Yeah, I have it on my shelf.
I always appreciate when the actual award is something you'd want to have.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's heavy too.
That's good. It should be heavy.
It's heavy.
Yeah, you don't want something light and flimsy.
No.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so
thanks
much.
for coming on.
Thank you. This has been fun.
And we'll see you at the BMAs, definitely.
Yes,
we'll be there.
for sure.
Excellent.
Cool.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
A sister, quit you digging them holes. A sister, quit you digging them holes. You keep working that shovel. You're bound to meet the devil. She sister, quit you digging them holes. A sister, quit you digging them holes. You keep working that shovel, and you're bound to meet the devil.
Find out more about Julie at julierhodesmusic.com, where you can see where she is performing and purchase her music. A special thanks once again to my co-host this week, Ike Walker. Go to abovethebasement.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen and subscribe to our podcast, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and look at all the nice pictures we post on Instagram. We are everywhere. On behalf of Ronnie, Ike, and myself, thanks for listening. Tell your friends, and remember, Boston music, like its history, is unique. Above the Basement, Boston Music and Conversation is recorded at beautiful Woods Hill Table Restaurant in West Concord, Massachusetts. Woods Hill Table is honored to have been awarded 3 stars as the most sustainable restaurant in Massachusetts by the Sustainable Restaurant Association. The food is organic and locally sourced, non-GMO, and is absolutely delicious. Chef Charlie Foster focuses on seasonal ingredients and their own grass-fed livestock raised on the farm at Woods Hill in Bath, New Hampshire. Go to woodshilltable.com for reservations.